Hello everyone, welcome back to Encounter Roleplay. Welcome to After the Fire, the Crownlands. Welcome to our Fireverse Game of Thrones game, the Crownlands. Today we siege Tyrosh, and today we're doing something a little bit different. Today we're going to be using a different rule set for some of our game. We're going to be using the Terra RPG rule set, which if you were following us last season, we used the very alpha version of for The Haunting of Seawall Orphanage. But we're now using an updated version, which I'm very excited about, as we do the Battle of Tyrosh. Unfortunately, Millie and Nuno not with us this week. Nuno is working very hard. Please send him some love, and Millie as well. But we do have with us the wonderful Jonathan Fry and Hotflakes Tom. So I'm going to go around and say hello to everyone, and then we're going to get into the action. Currently, everyone is on their current characters, but we will be seeing some new characters later. Maybe everyone can just give us like a sentence about the character they will be playing in the battle. That would be really cool. Let's begin with the wonderful Flying Cirrus, aka Shauna. Hi Shauna, how are you doing today, friend?
Doing good, and with this group, I'm wondering what day it is, because this is maybe Thursday. I'm not too sure.
Same.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited to see what this, and then I am just playing a mirror set, and just like a mountain woman with just some revenge on her mind. This one, not entirely different, but more up and close.
I think you just described Susie's perfect date. Why don't we hop over to Susanna Grace? Mountain of a woman with revenge on her mind.
Charlie, you say the nicest things. Hello, everybody. It's me, Susie. I'm playing Lord Donegal Bywater today. His brother may have been the Bywater Buccaneer, but Lord Donegal is here to show you, I don't know, something. He's got notions, he's got plans, he's got ambition. So I'm very excited to play Lord Donegal.
Question mark?
Well, if you ask very kindly. Yes, maybe. Anyway, no, sorry, I slipped into Allegra there. Oh, nope, that's another inappropriate joke. Can we just move on? You know who I am. I'm here every week. Hi.
Let's pan on down to Sam, aka Follow Black Cat / RPG Webby, who started all of this insanity, and, start as we mean to go on.
What was that? Anyway.
Professional.
It's professionals to the end. Hi, I'm RPG Webby, and tonight I will not be playing Jamie. I will be playing Captain Velaryon, nephew to the current Lord of the, Seas? Lord of the Tides. I was about to say middle-aged fella then, but we were just chatting in the green room that it was about my age. Fuck. So, a 30-something posh captain with something to prove. That's about it, really. Doesn't get involved himself, just likes to shout a lot and get people to do stuff for him. Yeah, it's going to end well. This siege is going to end well under his command, I'm sure.
Wonderful stuff. And welcome back, Tom. You're not playing Wendell today. I've roped you in for another role.
Yes, I'm not playing Wendell today. I'm playing Castile Radar, who is a pirate merchant who resides in Tyrosh. He likes his city, and he doesn't want some pesky Westerosi people coming over and ruining it. So
they're already there.
He's going to try and stop that. Yeah, well, they've acclimatized to it now.
There's profit in them Targaryens.
There's absolutely profit in those Targaryens. Well, those specific Targaryens.
So a cool thing about Tyrosh is they like to dye their hair funny colours. Or I guess not,
yes.
The regular Westerosi colours. What colour does Castile indulge in?
The way I've pictured it, he's quite a big, portly man. And he's actually got a bald head, completely bald. He has one eye, and it's just kind of like a very decorative and bright yellow and red eye patch around. But he's got kind of like a goatee beard, which is kind of like a light lilac colour, sort of bright, everything like that. And you shouldn't be too hard to see him.
I think I proclaimed him as Bad Santa to go with our
Yeah.
Westerosi Sad Santa of Merryweather. Welcome back, Jonathan Fry, to the mix, returning as Giannis today.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I will be playing Lord Giannis Dorsey. He is captain of the Kraken's Claws, a man of the sea, and wears fashionable nets over top of his leather armor, draped over his shoulder dramatically. He loves his wife and knows that his wife, Allegra, would never do anything to hurt him or their family. That's all.
Oh, and I want to say thank you again to our guests last session who played the House Baratheon, who brought nothing but pain to Allegra's world. If you want to find out more about them, shout out to Nymeria941 for updating their articles and adding them to the family tree over on our world, Anvil. Which brings me on to our sponsors. Please do check out World Anvil. They have great resources, whether you're a GM, writer, player, or just someone who daydreams of faraway places and wants to keep notes about them. I'm not saying which one I am, but I might tick all the boxes. I would also like to shout out on Wednesdays our Dark Matter campaign, which is sponsored by Mage Hand Press. The Dark Matter Kickstarter has blasted through all of its goals and is set for mecha, mayhem, and more at over 500% funded, but they still have stretch goals up. Please go and check them out. Don and I worked on the Starter Kickstarter, and there's lots of cool stuff in it. We're on our penultimate episode of Conspiracy in the Stars this week, and I cannot wait to see what happens. Following that on a Wednesday, we are also sponsored by Helmgast with Cult Divinity Lost. It's our hardcore horror show. Check out the caution warnings and then buckle up for a wild ride in I Am Pilgrim, which is our new adventure, GM'd by Penny for a Tale. Join the cult! And on Thursdays, Qapla'! I will get it right one day as we go to space with Star Trek Adventures from Modiphius, publish, distribute, manage, create a whole host of RPGs. So whether you want to be Dishonored, you want to go to space with Star Trek Adventures, or just enjoy a tale from the loop, go and check out what they have to offer. They are always working on something. Isn't that right, Sam?
Oh boy,
Yes.
Are we always working on something?
But those are all of our wonderful sponsors for this season. Please do go and check them out. They all do great things, and they love supporting our community too. I want to do a little minor shout out to Doc Grimbo, who sadly had his stuff nicked the other week. We've done what we can to band together and get Doc some new loot. Losing your tabletop stuff is heartbreaking, is not cool. I could not imagine anything worse than ripping from someone their hobby and all of that stuff they've invested in. So please keep looking after each other, Chaos Chorus. We appreciate you so much. And thank you to everyone who is watching live on YouTube or just checking us out in clips, because sometimes that happens too. I also want to mention our Patreon. All of that goes to supporting our casts here on Encounter Roleplay. We've had some really awesome pledges lately, and I appreciate those so much. Final note before we get into things, if you want to donate today to affect today's show, you can check out the options down below or over in chat. The critical dice on screen act as an additional 1d6, as they normally do for Song of Ice and Fire roleplay, even though we're playing Terra RPG, because conveniently they both use d6 pools. So same rule, same fun. But we also have that pet pal option and of course one truth. And you will find out a lot about truths today. And I think that is a good segue into our first scene. It is about 45 minutes before the sun is due to rise on the tempestuous ocean that lays between Storm's End and Tyrosh. Janice, you have had a hard night, bickering, arguing, planning, checking supplies. In the night, a ship has been stolen away, and the waves have been unrelenting, but a plan has been struck. At first light, you set sail for Tyrosh and will use the storm as cover to make way to that island and avenge the Lord Aaron, avenge the terrible actions of bitter steel in his dumping of a lord and the shower of silver at the hand of the tourney of the king. No, the tourney of the hand of the king, get it right around, on Prince Belar's name day. You find Allegra. She looks tired as well. And I will hand this scene over to Susie and Don.
So I think Giannis is already dressed for the next day. He's already dressed for battle, which for him is studded leather armor that he keeps meticulously clean. And he hasn't put on his net yet, but he's like folded his net very neatly and left it on a table. And I think he's just pacing and thinking and pacing and thinking. And his expression probably would be a mix of, I don't want to say anxiety, because he kind of thrives on being in the sea and these great adventures. And it's been a number of years since he's had anything like this, anything like this important in his life in terms of being on the sea. But it's wanting to think everything through, which does not come easily necessarily to Giannis. So he probably has a little bit of a dumb, focused look on his face as he's pacing around.
Mm-hmm. And Allegra, I think she stood in the doorway watching him for a moment, and she too is dressed and ready for the day, but she's usually very, very precise in particular with how she dresses. Not a hair is out of place, but this time you can see sort of the bags beneath her eyes, and her hair is slightly, just ever so slightly out of place as she stood there watching him. And she sort of smiles to herself idly before she moves over to the table and picks up the net and comes over to Giannis and sort of steadies him with her hand as she sort of drapes it over his shoulder and just begins helping him fasten it in place.
Thank you, my dear. Sorry, I seem so distracted.
It's all right. You've got quite a lot to be distracted by. It's a big day. Are you nervous?
Yeah. As he helps to finish fastening the net to his armor, he turns around so that he can just sort of lightly embrace and look down on her. And he just gives a warm smile, and that look of like dumbfounded focus washes away from his face. And he says, "Not at all. We're the right side. We've got the right people. It'll be a breeze."
It absolutely will. And besides, you're heading one of the ships. I've never known you to fail.
Well, it's not just me. All of the Kraken's claws, every one of them, worth 50 of the others.
Yes, they are. And there's another thing. And she, her face now something sort of like she has a huge smile as she's trying to get out what she's trying to say. And she holds her hand up to his face. The gods have blessed us, Janice. I know that your journey, your voyage, will be a successful one.
Are you a child?
And she just smiles and nods.
Well, don't worry. Like I said, it'll be a breeze. I'll be right back. And we can go home after this and focus on what comes next. And just think of all the extra favor we'll have.
We won't have to worry about our children's futures anymore after this. All of them. And she takes his hand and puts it on her belly.
He smiles, that kind of like dumb face comes back, and he kneels down next to it and just sort of like whispers into the belly, "Don't worry. We'll get to know each other real soon. I'll be back." And looks up to you and smiles up to you, sort of stands back up.
So that...
Are you worried?
No, not at all. Not even slightly worried. There's something, though, in her eyes that's like, I am big worried, but I'm just trying to put on a happy face.
And even if he's not the most socially aware person, Giannis knows Allegra.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he would probably recognize that there's something. And he just sort of steps back and folds his arms over his chest and gives a reassuring smile and waits.
And she tries to wait him out too, right? Because that's just how she be. She is stubborn, and she knows that he knows, but she's like, I'm not gonna. Before she, her expression kind of drops a little. This world is full of vipers, some of which are in this very hall. I'm worried, Janice. I'm worried for my safety. I'm worried for Daenerys' safety. And with you gone, there's no one here to protect us.
World's full of good people too, kind people. But if you're so worried, why don't you just come with me?
I can't go to battle.
Why not? You'll just stay under deck. Maybe sleep through the whole thing.
I know I'm a heavy sleeper, but honestly... What if the worst happened, Janice? What if you were sunk? All your men drowned, and you drowned, and I drowned with you? What of our children?
It's not going to happen. I promise you.
I felt the stranger walking with me. Swear sometimes I see him out of the corner of my eye, ever since famine's hold. It's a spectre just looming over me. It's a bad omen.
He offers his two hands, holding palm up.
She takes them.
Maybe there's another way to look at it.
Hmm.
You're bringing life into the world. Right now. We're blessed with life. That's not the stranger. That's the mother. Maybe that's the figure you're seeing?
You know, I did see my mother at famine's hold, and she was holding an infant in her arms. I thought at the time that it was Stefan, my twin. But what if it wasn't? What if she was telling me? Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm just overthinking this. Maybe it's just... I don't know.
Could always come with me. We could hold back one of their ships, out of range. And if anything happens to my ship, why, I'd just jump off and swim back to you, like I always do.
She laughs and she takes his face in her hands. This is your damn fool, Giannis. And she kisses him
kisses back, and after he just has this big dumb smile on his face, says, "I know, but I'm a lucky one. You picked good."
I did. And she sort of pulls back a little bit. Danella and I have been offered safety at will. Sebastian said that he would accompany us south, ensure that we are safe. He heard threats, whispers, rumors.
What sort of threats?
He said that he heard whispers that there were Blackfire spies here at Storm's End, and implied that they thought that either I or Danella was one of them.
You know, it won't be any safer for you going down to Dorne. You could just come with me.
And Danella too?
Aye. Of course. You can't trust the wills. Those whispers, they could just be a lie. Ransom you.
Very well could be, but what if it's not a lie? What if it's the truth? What if we are in danger here?
Then you belong with me. Always. And he sort of squeezes her hand, both of her hands, and gives her a meaningful look. And his expression's changed a little bit. He doesn't stand up. He doesn't make a stand often, but you can tell there's something of him making a stand here.
Yeah. Hey Don, do you want to roll a convince?
Sure. I'm sure he's good at that.
do it.
Let me check. I guess it's not charm. He's better at that.
He already got her with the charm. Let's be real.
Oh wait, but I have a die. Is that a keep die or is that a bonus
It is.
die?
It's an additional test dice, Don. And it's a thank you to Virginia, who donated big crits to give everyone one of those today.
Thank you. Let's see if that helps me. Because this is the most important role of his life, Susie.
Oh, Don, don't. That is.
It's a 19.
That's 2 degrees of success, almost 3.
So, and that's 2 crits too.
Holy shit!
That's 2 6s. What's that mean? That means something. I know it means something.
2 6s. Oh shit! I don't have the cheat sheet up. I'm gonna fire myself.
Hold on, I do. So 2 6s is vulnerable hits permanently reduce your opponent's DR by 1. So Susie. But you can reframe that if you like, to suit the narrative better. But potentially, you know, Giannis is pushing really hard, right? And you might not feel great about that.
Okay. What's the damage done?
So for 2 degrees, that's only 6. 6.
6. Ooh. Okay. Damn. She hits her with those puppy dog eyes. She can't resist. I think she takes some. She looks at him over, and she can see that sort of him taking a stand. And there's like something that softens to her expression. She had the very sort of Giannis would know this is Allegra's sort of thinking face on. This is her action face, and her very pragmatic, like this is how things have to go face, and it softens into something that you see more often when she's having her softer moments with him. And I think she steps in to like embrace him. I think you're right. Traveling south would be reckless and advisable. And as you said, it could all be a lie to ransom us. I don't know for what they could possibly want from that, but maybe you're right. I don't know if I can go to sea with you, Giannis. I never want to leave your side. I chose you, I married you, I love you, Giannis. But I can't go to battle with you. I can't put Danella at risk either. For all of us, for all of our sakes. So perhaps maybe I should head north, go home, back to Cracklaw Point. At least there I know I'm safe.
His expression softens in turn, and there's a little bit of contentment. He says, well, I always think the place for you to be is home. And just think of that when I return. What a welcome I'd have.
And she's smiling very warmly at this thought. She's missed home. She's missed her children. She's missed her family throughout all of this. And she smiles very warmly. Then you'd better come home. Do you hear me?
I promise. I like living, and I got too much to live for. One more thing now.
One more thing. All right. It's almost time. Is there anything else you need before you go?
Just stay with me. Just until I have to go.
I can do that. Well, I think they just sort of embrace and watch the storm from the window and while away their past time together.
Wonderful. Yep. Let's go and see everyone else. Hello, everyone. We are going to pan through time and space as the ships of the sieging fleet cross the seas, which have been storming, tempestuous, and ever-changing towards the Isle of Tyrosh. It is a walled city that consumes the entire island. Its exterior walls reinforced with black dragon stone, which are currently being berated by the tides, threatening to wash the ships at dock against those very walls. And we pan inwards to a planning chamber. An impatient general paces. Empty ravens' cages. Staring, looking, tutting. At his side, a Velaryon steel sword that hungers. Castile Radar, Emira Sand. You are amongst those that the general has called to this room. He had word that the fleet had left King's Landing and pushed south. But there has been no word since. And the last few days have been an awkward waiting game. Castile, what are you doing in this room? Just give me a little bit of a setup description, if you will, and then we will enter into Terra RPG terrain.
Okay. Castile is probably a bit more relaxed about the other ones. He's definitely got a very extravagant kind of goblet of wine in his hand. He's looking at the war table, and in his mind, he's not too concerned. He feels that no navy would be stupid enough to go across in the summer storms. He feels he's got time to, build up defenses, although things have already started. So he's kind of like, this is like it's like the third, whatever night it is he's been called here, and he's getting a bit tired of it. He's expecting, look, we don't have to worry about this until the rain stops and the storm stops, so just relax. So he's kind of half listening at the moment and just enjoying the wine.
And what about Amira, Shauna?
I imagine Amira is just she is to pass the time waiting, as usual, quite drunk, just not increase her mood, which has been irritable and surly the entire time. She is itching for a fight. She hopes that those ships come across and those men land so she can kill those loyal lords that have come across. And I think at this point she is just half listening, arms crossed, maybe holding her, she's been carrying it around her just sick looking broadsword. She's just waiting any moment they could be here, and she wants to be ready. But at the moment, it's politicking and it's planning. They'll send her where she needs to go. But at the moment,
And as one of you believes it will never happen, and one of you is itching for that moment, lightning strikes the city, shakes the stone of the building you're in, a crack close, illuminating even this hall. Everybody turns towards those painted glass windows. Each of the windows of this room illustrates a different god that the city worships. The drowned god, R'hllor, the three-headed god Tyrosh, and countless others. And all of these now cast light into this war room. The battles of Westeros have many secrets, some of them big, some of them small, and some of them terrifying. The battle is here. Tom, what is the truth about this scene?
That Castile is never alone, and in his possibly almost in a constant shadow is a woman dressed in red, a priestess of Valor, and every night he asks her to stare into the fires. But she hasn't, for the past few days, she hasn't given him a response. It's very vague. It's very just, battle is coming. But he trusts her word. He trusts everything that she says. And I feel that she is just there staring out of one of the windows into the ocean.
And I will add to this, as she stares out of the window towards the ocean, there is another crack of lightning, fire from the sky, and she begins to count in Tyroshi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And she continues up and up through the numbers. To begin with, you don't notice. It's but a whisper. But she begins to get louder and louder as she reaches 100. And then as her voice is straining, nearly screaming, she lets out a cry of Bulamugalis, a hissing, hateful cry. And she turns to you, alarmed, as she comes back into this space. They're here.
That is impossible. And he'll kind of head to the window to look out.
As you push to the window, she turns to the room, to the general that paces to a mirror and the others, and yells even louder, "They're here!" And another crack of lightning thunders throughout the hall. Amira, I'm going to ask you the same as Tom. Normally we do only one per scene, but I'm going to let you set a truth as well. The Battles of Westeros have many secrets, some of them big, some of them small, and some of them terrifying. What is one truth about this scene?
Once the warning came the fleet was coming, she told her men to get the boats ready. She smiles at the storm, the rain, the dark skies. Perfect situation for her ships. She's not gonna wait for those men to get onto dry land. She wants to get on those ships and kill those comfortable lords watching. She wants to send those heads back to Magar. We want to send them here. We'll send them back.
And the truth I will add is Amira's men go running, and Shauna, does she follow? Or does she have something to say before she leaves the space?
She goes with, she's... Yep.
Perfect. All right, so the truth I add is you run out into the storm and the wind rips at your clothes and hair. Is out in the storm as the lightning cracks, you see the fleet arriving. And you see in the foreground, freshly illuminated, your own ships. But one of them is damaged by the storm. The men are already there and ready, though. They've been ready for the last 3 days, and you have not let them be anything but. And they await your order as you arrive at that small, enclosed cove that houses the ships of Tyrosh. What do you do?
We will use that ship as a shield for our other ones. We'll have a skeleton crew. They will give their lives. Dutifully, give us the chance to get close.
Okay. As you give this order, I'd like you to roll Handle It Smarts as you delegate out the jobs and command the men in their tasks. If you think another stat would better suit it, we can totally discuss that. For anyone wondering, Terra has 5 core stats. I'm just scrolling up to find Don's wonderful explanation of what they all are. There's smarts, which is problem solving and spotting things, empathy, social and supernatural awareness, cool, staying calm under pressure, convincing others with your personality, quickness, speed and reflexes, and grit, strength and withstanding of physical duress. So you could also apply, I would say cool would also apply, if that is a better stat for you. You have 3 dice up on the screen and you're currently muted, Shauna.
Yeah, I'll certainly not. Cool is. And all right, and that's 1 plus the rating, correct?
Yes, that's correct. So d6 plus your rank, number of d6, and you're looking for doubles.
Okay, and you know what? Let's start this off the right way. Let's use one of the crits down there. So
And you can use as many crits as you like to add to your dice pool up to a maximum of 5.
Okay.
Just using 1?
Yep, just using 1.
Okay, so that makes up your dice pool, and we're looking for doubles today.
Excellent. Let's see if I can.
Ooh, 2 doubles.
Ooh.
Very nice. 6s and 1s, the best kinds of doubles. Total polar opposites.
All over the board.
All right, so you succeed, and Shauna, Amira's men are quick to reorganize. They do not question that there will be a loss. They see the cunning in your plan, and the ship that is waiting for you to be its captain is prepared, sails half unfurled, ready to move out into the waters that you're familiar with. Castile, the general turns to you. And what of you? Mira is gone. Are you going as well?
He smirks and looks at Bittersteel. It would seem that you Westerosi have more balls than I first imagined. I have plans to see to.
Go.
And he gives a low bow, and he'll leave, and his Red Priestess leaves with him. And as he heads aside down the tower to the courtyard, he has the little retinue with him that he goes everywhere with, and a number of horses. And he will order a set number of them to go to specific locations and establishments and tells them to prepare. And the rest will follow him down to the docks.
From in the tower, you can hear Bittersteel bellowing out orders now. He calls for the boy. He has to go to the walls and watch. He calls for other names, other people. He is busy moving, but so are you. Tom, I would like you to roll to handle it as you unveil your plan as well.
Alrighty.
Regular handle it.
Okay. So what's a handle? So is it under a trait?
So this will be, so I'm guessing this is going to be smarts for you or cool.
I will choose smart. So it's okay. Here we go.
It's the number of dice plus your rank plus an additional 1.
I mean, I got a triple. Does that super duper the roll?
It's super duper means you can tell me what happens as you issue out your orders.
That the men there, the men and women there have been waiting for this, and they immediately get on their horses and just shoot out through the city. And they know the city so well that they can just weave on a horse in between the narrow alleys to get to their destination. That his horse is there, along with the priestess's horse is there, waiting for him to set forth down to the docks.
You see sparks kick off the shoes of the horse as they strike against the cobblestones, disappearing out into the stormy city. Your priestess climbs atop her horse. She hasn't said much since she declared that all men must die and that the attackers were here. But she remains watching that storm in the sky.
He will turn to her and he will say, "What does the god say?"
The gods... The light will claim many today. He is hungry, and there is much darkness. And the world will be cleansed of it. How many? I do not know.
Let us hope. More Westerosi. Yeah! And he'll kick the horse and start bolting down to the docks.
And she echoes with her own sharp cry and a kick of the horse's flanks, following you down. The city streets are abandoned. Harsh weather conditions and the darkening have sent many into the buildings, but you hear as you pass laughter from one, cries of pleasure in another. Life is still going on here in the city, and many people don't seem to know what is about to happen. But it is all a blur and lost to the rumbling thunder that follows those cracks of lightning. As you reach the docks, you see Amira and her ships making way out into the treacherous water, fighting against the pushing of the waves that want to see everything blown to shore. And the walls of part dragonstone, part rock begin to illuminate with torches, one by one, all along. And this is the sight that you see, Giannis, Dorsey, as you gaze towards that island, that city of Tyrosh. This is the sight you see, Marshal Velaryon, nephew of Lord Velaryon. And Donegal, as your ship turns in that turbulent wind, so the streaming golden light begins to illuminate the walls that you must shatter. Fresh Lord Bywater. What I would like you all to do is to roll grit. And this is going to help me decide the order in which you will act, just to set up an initiative, because we are on a really short time today.
Does that include...
No,
does that
just
include
the three
me?
sieges.
Okay.
Not Castile or Amira for now. Thank you. Alright, so let's see. Sam got a double, Susie got a triple, and Don didn't get anything. So we'll do Susie, Sam, Don. So Donegal. The battles of Westeros have many secrets. Some of them big, some of them small. Some of them terrifying. What is one truth as Donegal's ship turns and sees the light on the walls of Tyrosh?
The men are in good spirits. The crew of the Walrus, which is Donegal's ship, is in good spirits. They, upon seeing the walls, they let out a rallying cry, and every man takes his position as Donegal stands near the helm, But Donegal is anxious as these waves are turbulent, and he wraps a rope around his wrist, which is lashed to the balustrade in front of him, and he just holds on a little bit tighter as they near their target.
And what I'll add to this is the men are celebrating as their war is here. And one sailor is up in that crow's nest keeping eye, and in his jubilance he attempts to impress. And he scrambles down and he walks across your main mast at the top. He lets out a cry, and then another strangled sound as he slips, a wave pushing against the sides of your ship, knocking it to a 45-degree angle. You feel your boots slip, and that lash tightens on your wrist. And I'm actually going to push your scar for this, and I'm going to make you roll a desperate handle it as you are pushed close to the salty brine of the ocean, and you've just been witness to the death of one of your crew because they're stupid.
Okay, so what am I rolling for this then?
This will be a grit.
Grit, okay.
And
my
you're trying to keep
scar?
your balance and your hold, and your scar is the on your sheet.
Yeah,
Would you like to read out
yeah.
what Donegal's scar is?
Donegal has a secret phobia of drowning due to recurring nightmares of drowning. So this is like the worst thing that could happen to him. His boat going what? Okay, so rolling grit. All right.
And because this is a desperate roll, we're not looking for pairs, we're looking for sixes.
Give me a 6, Donegal. 1 6. Whew.
1 6. All right, Susie, describe for me what happens as you come face to face with your terror, the man plunging into those waves, the ship at a 45-degree angle, and that lash just carving into your wrist.
So as the ship tilts and Donegal's feet slip out from underneath him, he puts everything he has into holding on through that lash, and the security of the rope around his wrist helps him like hold on fast before he regains his footing and stands up, and he just bellows out to cover his fear. It wobbles a little as he begins to bellow, but he bellows orders for every man to be at his station to hold fast. And to maybe just secure everything. You know, make sure that no one's dicking around like that guy. He's angrily shouting to cover his fear.
And Marshal Velaryon, you see the walrus surge forwards as its crew shift to positions, batten the hatches, and prepare for war. Battles Westeros have many truths, some of them big, some of them small, and a lot of them terrifying. What is one truth, Sam?
That even though the Velaryon force here was robbed of their perfectly legitimate strategy for their plan to invade Tyrosh and blockade the port, they still managed to smuggle aboard 44 tons of wildfire in 2 of their Drummonds in 44 barrels, so as to hit one of the main canals into the city, to try and blockade and block the port and cover it with a smokescreen.
The truth I'll add to this is that your grandfather, great-grandfather, were married into the families of Tyrosh and Lys and have some additional knowledge of the city, which makes navigating towards those canals easier for you because you know where they are, even in this turbulent sea. And I'd like you to make your command roll, which essentially is going to be a handle it with either coolness or smarts. Your choice.
Coolness. Oh,
and we'll
smarts
see
it is.
how you progress with your 44 tons of wildfire.
It's 1 plus your stat. number of number of
Correct.
d6, right?
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
And you're looking for pairs on a regular. 1 pair. You succeed. All right, describe for me how Marshall commands his ship towards one of these canals.
Marshall is strapped to the main rail just by the wheel of his Drummond, and strapped doubly so, as the pain down the back of his legs almost holds him upright as the boat rocks and tilts in this storm. And then, for using the ring to walk round as he pulls against the railing, he shouts at his sailors to hold, row firm, to drive straight towards the snail catcher's bank on the northeastern side of the bank of the dock, and that by doing so they start to overtake the walrus, and his 2 forward Drummonds start to get just within range of the arrow slits of the bleeding tower.
And the walrus is nearly cut up by the surge of the Velaryon ship. Giannis, the fleet seems to be acting of its own accord as all surge towards the shore. The battles of Tyrosh have many truths, some of them big, some of them small. One of them is yours, Don. Tell me, is it terrifying? What is one truth
I don't
you will
know.
add to this?
So, Giannis on the 4 of the deck of his ship, of these 5 ships that make up the Kraken's claws, as the storm is raging and the wind is in his hair, and he's slick, his armor and his skin. He's holding on to a strand of hair, of Danella's hair. He's gripping onto it so tightly, and he ties it to his net. It's fastened to his armor. And he calls back to his men, who he's informed all of them that he's going to be a father again. Every single one of them knows. On all of his ships, they all know that he's going to be a father. And he calls back to tell them to surge forward, that they're going to be the first ones into this battle, that they're going to engage with any enemy ships, that they're going to be heroes, and everyone will remember their names. And as he hopes that they surge forward and can stay at the 4 of this fleet, the truth that I'll introduce is that as he looks up to the walls of the city in the distance, that he can make out figures nailed and tied to the top of those walls on fire.
The truth I'll add to this is, as you stare at those figures, you recall Allegra's words that the stranger has lurked over her shoulder. And as your eyes pan up from the figures on fire, that rising smoke mingling with the storm, you see a dark figure that walks the walls. And you see as he lights a fresh torch and reaches down and ignites another form. But this is not another corpse, another man. This is a dragon head, and it explodes into fire, and red lashes from its open mouth. Done. You will your men forward. You will be first in battle. Describe for me how Giannis is going to get the lead and what he does with this sight before him.
Yeah, I think he gulps at this, at witnessing this explosion, this strange sight. I don't think that Giannis would have any idea what this is, but he has that feeling, that dropping feeling in his stomach, and he gulps, and then he breathes in the rain. He breathes in the storm, and that gives him energy. It springs him to action as they push forward, and he has his ships and his men drive forward ready to circle around and protect any of the other fleet that's coming up, the flanks, and directly engage, whether that's by boarding or by ramming or by any means necessary, any opposing ships that are leaving Tyrosh.
All right, I'd like you to roll handle it with cool to see if you spot a mirror's force pushing out of Tyrosh, as that seems to be Giannis's focus, right? Anything coming out of there is mine. So I think cool to notice.
All right. And is this just a regular roll?
Yes, just a regular roll.
Okay. Nope. I'm going to engage my flaw of being reckless and get my reroll.
All right, as you are reckless, what I will say is essentially you are going to put your ship in the way of another as you push out and around to get into position. And we'll find out the consequences of that when you reroll.
Yeah, 2 6s.
All right. Using your reckless nature to motivate you, it's worth the risk. There's enough space. You cut and turn, and your ship hard swings its ass, going out as if you were doing a Tokyo drift into Tyrosh. And as you turn, you catch the lanterns of Amira's ships pushing out of their safe harbor. And Amira, you can see now a ship gliding through the water, cutting a hard path, and it's straight towards you. Giannis, because of your drift and your success, I'm going to say that you have a good angle that if you have a siege weapon on your ship, you would be able to fire. If you do not, then you're probably at a good angle to start attempting throws, but the distance is currently significant. That's the truthful description I will add at this moment.
Cool. Yeah, he'll draw his rapier and point it towards the ship, like over the deck of the ship towards Amira's vessel, call back to his men to prepare to board and prepare the ropes.
Right. And they do. You rallied them, you ordered them, and you got them into position, and now a fight is at hand. As Amira, you have led out that broken ship, and the command has been that it will be your shield in the water. And I'd like you to describe for me this moment as this broken ship comes out. I'm going to say, just because it's dramatic and very visible, like its mast is broken. One of its masts is just snapped. It's been hit by wind the wrong way and just taken it out. It can still sail, but it's essentially limping out of the safe harbor with your ship and another behind.
All right, maybe. So what I'm planning is the lights that Jan saw was this ship. We know this. You know our ships. We are reckless, and we will wrathful, and we will go without lights. And so the ship that is heading is this shield ship. It's going to take the brunt, as the remaining ships will just kind of pincher it. And that's what we'll bring in a boarding. If someone wants to be
so
eager,
the plan is
we'll get the fight started.
the limping ship is a decoy. It looks like a real ship. It's kind of been swaddled up to where its lanterns are on, so it's obvious. I really like this plan. I think it's super cool, but I'm going to ask you to roll a handle its smarts to make sure that you can find a way to stealth around to make your flank work.
Of course, this is not her strong suit,
And
so...
I will say that we are going to change the clock at this point, so everyone needs to reduce their pools by 1d6. You cannot go below 1d6 in any of your pools. So if your rank is currently a 2, it becomes a 1. If your rank's a 1, that's where it stays. 4 becomes 3, so on and so forth. Everything reduced by 1d6.
That's fine.
Okay. Amira has set her plan. The decoy ship has attracted the attention. She puts out the call to the wrathful, her sister ship, and the reckless, which she rides upon, that they will become a flank pulling out from behind this ship to get to whatever is on the other side. But Giannis, with a mirror's fail, I will say that you see the Wrathful coming out. There's something strange about the fact the ship is lit up for days. Like, all the lights are on. You see the mast is broken. You know something is up. And you see the Wrathful, the second ship that mirror's not on, is coming around the back. This is a trap. What does Giannis do?
He because of the storm and the sounds of the cracking thunder, the waves crashing, it's really difficult for him to try to communicate this to the other 4 ships in his small fleet that make up the Kraken's claws. So only those on his ship, I think, are able to get this message immediately. And he knows in this moment that as his other 4 ships kind of descend upon this decoy, that they may be vulnerable, and that his only chance to protect them is to try to maneuver his ship around the decoy and head off and engage directly the darker, unlit ship behind it. That maybe he sees, like with a flash of lightning, he sees the mast and he realizes that's what's going on. And he's going to try to get ahead of it so that his other ships are not left vulnerable.
All right. Because of the storm, this is, I'm going to make this be a desperate roll for Giannis, as you're reacting quickly. Your men are trained and it's a reasonable order, but it's a quick reaction that you're going to have to make. Don, what do you think would be the best trait for Giannis? What do you think is most appropriate?
Yeah, honestly, probably smarts, right? He's problem solving quickly.
Yeah, I think so. Unless you were to take the wheel yourself, which I would say would be maybe a grit, as you physically try and move your ship in the right direction. But yeah, I think so.
No, I think he's got like a rope ready. He's got his sword ready. Like, he's ready to engage. He's letting other people steer the ship.
All right, perfect.
All right, so this is desperate,
This
and
is
we're
a
minus
desperate roll.
1 die in our
Minus
pool.
1 die.
Cool. But that's a 6.
All right. Tell me what happens.
The truth that I'll introduce here is that they're able to maneuver so that now these 2 ships are almost like they're on a collision course, Amira's ship and Giannis's ship. But in that moment, the truth is that there's a crack of lightning that arcs down from the sky, and it catches Giannis's mast. It hits it perfectly, and there's just a burst of fire. He's still moving forward. The ship is still moving forward, but there's chaos now as his mast and his sail has set flame.
I love when players make things worse for themselves with truth. It's what I like to do. So yeah, this whole ship goes up, and it's a terrifying visage as it pushes a mirror towards yours. Donegal, you've just been cut up on one side by Marshal Velaryon. You then were cut up on the other side by Giannis Dorsey, who apparently has seen something and then been struck by lightning. The lords around you are reckless. But you hear out in the darkness, just above that rumbling thunder, the crashing of waves, all of your fears churning and churning, a whistle. Something is coming from behind you. What does Donegal do?
So, hearing that and taking a second to process what he's heard and making sure it wasn't his brain playing tricks on him because, you know, the storm and everything, he brings the ship about. He orders the sail to be raised and the men to stop rowing, and brings it about to all kind of like provide protection for the 2 vessels that have charged ahead of him. So he's covering their sort of flank. And on Donegal's ship is either side a large, heavy scorpion launcher, but with a complement of archers beside to give like aerial cover. So he has the men ready their position and wait for whatever that is coming out of the darkness. So they've got the jump on them and they can immediately fire as soon as they see a target.
All right. So you squint into the darkness. I would like you to make a desperate smarts roll.
Okay. Yes, Sam.
And the
Scorpions
reason
are
for
fine
this-
when I have them.
The reason it's desperate is your ship, as you turn, exposes itself to another wave which sways it violently. You're safe, you know this, but it's throwing you and you're squinting into a storm which is full of rain, thunder, and terror.
Yeah.
So we're looking for a
100%.
6, Susie.
All right, looking for a 6. I got a 6. Yes, Donegal.
What is the truth? You're going to add Donegal.
Okay, so the truth is a wave does indeed hit them and the ship rocks. Donegal sort of goes flying almost again, but holds, and he's staring and staring. The new height gifted to them from the ship being launched as it comes back down allows them to see further out, and they can see the ship approaching. It gives them that height, so they get a bit more range.
And the truth, I'm going to add to this, even though it's not really my turn to super add things, is it's not just one ship that is approaching, but 3. And as you squint into that darkness, your eyes razor sharp, you see their flags. But it's not the field of the flag you notice first, but the crimson red of a 3-headed dragon as Targaryan ships join the sieging fleet. And you squint yet harder and you notice the small change to this flag, which bears the mark that tells you this is Prince Valar.
Good. Cool. We have to look after a prince now.
I'm going to say that it's 3 dragon heads, and it's one of them's got like a crown for a necklace. That's the Prince Valar sigil. I don't know what it is in canon, but that's what it is in this game.
And as he sees the 3 ships, Donegal raises a cheer to his men and says, "The prince has joined us. Our victory is assured." And there's a big cheer that goes up. The royal family are here. The dragons are here.
And your men are rallied. And as they rally from the shore, a volley of arrows comes out towards the ship. Most of them hitting into the water, a couple of them striking the deck of both Marshall and Giannis's vessels. But Hotflix Tom, what is Castile up to as he reaches the docks? And there is a naval battle underway already as Amira has pushed out into the water, and the sieging, terrible, terrible lords from Westeros have already begun their fight.
Thank you, Don. So he holds up, and even before he's there are people scampering around, setting in motion the plan. And he kind of looks out and notices the ships and kind of huffs, and to no one really, and just, "Ugh, I always knew that one wanted to get herself killed." And he will direct people down there to the current plan that he put in motion. Any ship that was remained docked, big or small, is going to be sailed out very slowly and scuttled into the dock. Everything, just wood, everything, all along the dock to prevent a landing from coming back in.
All right, I like this plan very much. I'm going to ask you to roll for it.
Okay.
And this is going to be a desperate roll for you as well. I'm going to give everyone a desperate roll in this round because you see the walls igniting in flame, lightning striking out in the water, and a volley of arrows coming out and back towards the city as fire is returned by one of the sieging ships.
Okay.
Because there's lots of ships in this battle, and they've all got weapons, and they all want to fight.
The crits in this, is that an auto success, or do I just get another d6?
No, you get another d6.
I'm going to use that.
All right, you're going to use one of
I'm going
those?
to use another d6, yeah.
All right.
Ha ha. Okay. Man, Roll20 loves to give me ones.
It sure does.
Okay,
You have failed
I want to use... Can I use a virtue to re-roll?
If you have one applicable and you tell me how
I
you
do.
use it to motivate you in this moment.
Well, I was thinking of he's one. You know what? I'll save it. Nope, I'll
Okay,
save
you're
it.
going to take
I'll
the
take
fail?
it.
Perfect.
Yep. Take it.
All right, so on a desperate fail, I get to set the truth. But additionally, I would like you to roll a 1d6, please.
Okay. Three.
You gain 3 points of terror, Tom.
Okay.
If you hit 10, really bad stuff's gonna happen as your horror in the scene increases. Tom, I would like you to choose someone to throw the spotlight to. Just so I know where we're going next. It can be anyone. And what will happen...
I'm not going to necessarily pick it, but is Bittersteel in the spotlight? Is that someone I could put the spotlight
to?
to?
Yeah, you could give it to an NPC.
Okay. I want to give it to Amira to react to what's happening around her.
Okay, perfect. So, this is what happens. Castile is calling out for the ships to be taken out into the waters and scuttled. A number of men are hopping on board. They're going out into the water. They're having to rip rope from rigging, and it's generally messy and chaotic. And then that hail of arrows comes in, and it strikes around you. And I'm going to say one strikes you in the shoulder as it descends from the sky. It's not a deep wound, but it carves into your flesh, and rain mixes with your blood. You see next to you your priestess as she stares up into the sky, and somehow every arrow has missed her. And we're going to throw this to Amira. Amira, you have the spotlight. What this means is you can give me a flashback to tell us something about your character or something she's thinking in this moment. And after you've done that, you will gain a momentum, which is a free reroll. Oh, sorry, a motivation, which is a free reroll to use.
All right. So as Amira just blade out looking at a ship that's on fire, smiles, and she's thinking about the courtyard of her homestead. Father, the head of House Wade, and her mother. Corpses left on the wall. They had supported the wrong side of this rebellion, and Maegard's wrath was terrible and swift. And in the moment before she jumps onto this ship, she thinks about looking in their dead eyes. And she wants Maegard to feel that same loss, no matter how many lords she has to go through.
I love it. Please do take that motivation. Sorry, go on.
And her intent for this is to tangle with this. She's going to take her ship and just get as tangled with this other ship, even though it's on fire. So the masts are just this mess of rigging, flaming cloth, and splinters. As lightning and fire illuminate her and her sundered blades. Mira's wearing just this real, just rain-slicked brigandine. Her dark black hair is just more like a veil being weighed down by the water. She's smiling, and if the light hits just right, you can just see these purple glints in her eyes. She orders her men to board and take this ship.
Perfect. I am going to say a massive thank you to Celeste Shepherd for those gift subs, which has unlocked an event. And I'm going to say the event is this, that Amira's ship and Giannis Dorsey's ship clash in a tangle of masks, like antlers bound together as these two forces collide. Ropes are thrown across from Giannis's ship as they try to board, ropes from Amira's ship as her forces try and board, and there is a clash of steel added to the cacophony of lightning and thunder and waves. And Amira, you and Giannis come face to face upon, I'm going to say his ship because you are Aggie girl, and I like it. And you get there, and you're face to face with this Westerosi lord. Giannis, what weapon do you wield?
Giannis has a rapier in his right hand, which he had been using to point over the edge of the ship. And now as he's backed up, as they're getting boarded, where it was just his intention to board, but the fire changed everything. I think that he is, as people are coming onto the ship, he stomped out a piece of flaming driftwood, like a chunk of the mast that's broken away, it's blackened, and he's picked it up, and he's sort of holding it in his offhand, almost like a makeshift buckler. So he's got this chunk of blackened wood in his left hand, and in his right hand he's lifting up and like just pronating his grip on this rapier, and he looks down the edge of the blade at Amira as she comes onto the ship, and they're face to face in the firelight. And he just simply says into the wind and into the rain, "Don't be a fool, my friend. Lay down your weapon. You'll be safe."
What house are you? What's your name?
Looks around kind of awkwardly as I imagine other people are engaging. Yeah.
She's yelling. She is
shouting.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of looks around for a second and then calls back, "How's Dorsey? What house are you?"
Doesn't matter anymore. Just asked. So they'll send their body to the right house.
And there is a crack behind you, Giannis, as I activate Purple's Bane. And part of the mast comes crashing down, narrowly missing you on one side, forcing you closer to a mirror. I'd like you to roll a 1d6, and that will be terror, added to Giannis's pool, as narrowly misses death by flaming mast.
Oh, good. It's a 5.
5. Cool. Halfway there. We're on it, fam. Amira, Giannis is forced towards you. Got a makeshift shield, which is and a rapier, which is compared to your broadsword. What do you do, Amira?
Oh, she is going to go up close and just give. She wants to play a little bit, and she wants to just give him just a full weight behind punch. Just get at him if he wants to be a fancy lord.
I love it. Roll me, handle it,
I'm not gonna give
grit.
him a chance.
And
Grit.
just roll me, handle it with grit. And just so players are aware, we're going to be cutting to Marshal Velaryon next.
Where is my sheet?
Unless we hit a desperate roll and then your playmates get to decide who comes next.
Okay.
And just to flag, I missed a tiny rule. If you fail a normal handle it, your terror pool increases by 1. And every time we change for the clocks, your terror pool also increases by 1. I missed that note. I'm sorry, Don.
Oh, it's the M. Oh, yep, 2 matches.
Doubles. Very nice. Perfect. So, tell me the truth, Amira, as you thrust out to punch Giannis, all your weight behind it.
It comes. I think Giannis expects she does where she will faint with the Brock, but then just come in with just a shoulder, and then on the way up just right in the chest to like knock the wind out. And I think with that, you drop a shield. This is a real Oaken shield because I think Amira's big. She's like 6'3", 6'4". And it's just like, ugh. And she is
Giannis
pick up, and I think just for intimidation, she's gonna pick up one of the flaming ropes and just kind of spin it around her, just like trying to be terrify this one.
Success. Giannis is smaller and he's thinner. He's athletic, but he's not big. And I think the force of that shoulder block knocks him back, and he rolls over his shoulder and falls onto his stomach. And like for a second, the rapier clatters on the ground next to him, and he looks up with a little bit of a busted nose through the rain, squinting at this figure with a broadsword and a flaming rope whipping around. And if he gets to try something, what he wants to try to do is to kick up the hilt of the rapier so he can catch it and snatch it out of the air, and then reach up and grab one of the ropes and spin around towards Amira and plant 2 feet into Amira's chest.
I love this idea. Let's let you roll. Let's do a handle it with some grit, because this is all physical sounding to me.
God, this is so good. It's like
and sword and boot. I would also take quickness, I suppose, because it is a reaction as well.
Speed thing.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a normal roll.
Yeah, so I would say this one will be a normal roll.
Okay. I got doubles. I got 3s.
Cool.
Phew.
All right. So scoop up your sword, whip around, 2 boots come out, Amira, and they kick into your chest. And there is a fight aboard the lead Dorsey ship. Susie, what did we name the ship? We came up with a name for it, and I've already forgotten what it was.
The Lady's Favor.
The Lady's Favor.
Oh, that's good.
All right. Marshal Velaryon, you are aware of this clash as you see these 2 ships collide, their masts tangle. One of them's on fire. There's a fight. Ropes are being thrown out. The dock is essentially now on fire as the walls of Tyrosh are alight, ships are on fire, and the seas are surging. You've become aware that Prince Velar has joined the fleet too, approaching from behind. But you have a plan for 44 tons of wildfire. What are you up to?
But I feel distracted by the conflict that's going on. Am I able to see the ships that are coming in towards the mouth of the dockyard? The mouth of the port, with the idea that they'll be scuttled?
Why don't you make a smarts test? There's a lot of chaos down there. Which is why I'm not just going to tell you for free if it's there or not, but I'll just say this is a regular smarts as you're not under super pressure at the moment. 3 ones web. Yeah, you squint out and you can see these smaller vessels coming out, these merchant ships, fishing ships, those kinds of smaller vessels beginning to emerge behind the larger ships of Amira's force.
Okay. So as the 2 Drommonds in front of us pursue their landing position, I want the 7 Wings, our little flagship here, otherwise known as the Scaly Maiden, to whip round to port in order to turn and try and ram / flamethrower its way through Amira's line in order to get to those vessels. You muted?
Is this the ship you're on? This is one of your other ships.
This is my ship.
Just to clarify. Your ship.
Yeah.
All right. So you are commanding this. Are you steering this?
Me? No.
You.
No,
All
I do
right,
the
you allow your
talking.
command. All right. So I will take either a smarts or a cool roll. Success. Pair of 4s.
2, yeah.
Perfect. All right, you command your ship around, you tell your sailors what the plan is, and you streamline for the other ship. It's not the ship Amira's on, which is currently tangled with Dorsey. It's the one on the other side,
Yep.
which is an active vessel, and you come streaming in towards it. And I need you to make a desperate cool roll as the sea surges, pushing you violently towards these ships and threatening to take control of your vessel from you, right at the point where you will collide.
Okay. I don't have to worry about my things at the moment because it's a re-roll, isn't it? So if I mess this up, I can try and
Yes.
get something off a... Oh!
Success. All right, tell me the truth, Sam. What happened?
So on another order from Marshall to row, damn it, the Drummond that he's on charges forward, smashing through the waves, almost just cutting them, because the width of the ship is so narrow compared to the adjacent vessels. And the captain on the other vessel gasps for just a second as they realize that this ship is not intending to stop or to turn at any point. And so the Scaly Maiden comes in, and Marshall says, "Wait for it. Wait for it," as the quartermaster is yelling at him to start. And then he orders to fire. And sailors down at the fore, at one of the bottom decks of the vessel, as rowers are rowing their guts out to keep the speed up. A few of the barrels of the wildfire at the front of his vessel are ignited, channeled through this almost like a cannon, this kind of copper cannon out the front, and a green flame erupts from the front of this ship and ignites the vessel in front as the copper the copper prow crashes into the front and I'd say the port flank of this other vessel.
And there's this eruption, a splintering of wood, fire, and sea as the ocean surges into the wrathful Amira's sister ship, and Marshall's collides, and the sea is becoming a twisted wreck, combining wood with wood, wave with wave, and fire bringing them all together. And at the docks, there is a laugh that rings out from the fiery priestess. This is exactly as she had seen it. This is exactly what he intended. And she turns, and at the side of the dock, there is this large, round copper basin. It's used as almost like a lighthouse light, right? It's like a warning light. It's a beacon. And it's full of fragrant oil because Tyrosh spares no expense in welcoming its guests to the harbour. And she goes to this beacon and she dips her hands into it so that she is covered from fingertip to elbow in this thick, oily liquid. And she walks to your side, Marshall, and she sees your wound. And she reaches out to the fiery torch and ignites her arm and pushes that fiery hand against your shoulder. Castile. I think I said Marshall. Castile.
I was like, where'd she come from?
Sorry,
Oh,
Sam.
he's got- he's got-
all right?
Teleporting
Season
witch.
eight
Got a
Game of
red
Thrones.
priest too.
Season 8 Game of Thrones. I read teleport. No, I'm sorry, Castile. I was busy looking at Sam, but I meant Tom.
I mean, what does it do? I mean, am I on fire now?
Really fucking hurt.
Okay.
As the flame sears into your flesh, and you watch as that arrow catches light and it burns away like an incense stick. Just this ember that soaks all the way down, and you feel the metal within your shoulder, that arrow tip, become molten. And it's painful.
Okay.
And all the while, she is whispering things you don't understand, strange prophecies. And her hand lifts up, and she brings the other one together, and she claps, and now both of her arms are on fire, and she holds them aloft. And she's chanting R'hllor's name as she invites the god of fire and light into her being and into your body. And you see the two hands coming down towards you. What do you do?
Okay.
I've got firearms.
You got firearms. He absolutely 100% completely trusts this priest. Never set him wrong. And as much as that was painful for him, as much as he kind of... I felt that he probably didn't scream out. I mean, he was in pain, a lot of pain, but he kind of gritted his teeth. He just shows his chest and closes his eyes and just revels in what's about to happen. He completely trusts what she's going to do. And he just lets her do what she's going to do.
All right. I would like you to roll a desperate grit roll. But
Oh dear.
I would like to note that I'm going to say the hour is ticked by. It's not an hour in this game, but the clock has changed, and everyone's pools will reduce by 1d6.
Hang on. I need to check something here.
And we are fishing for sixes.
Okay. You know what? I'll risk it. Why not? Risk it for a biscuit.
And don't forget to mark
Yes!
that additional terror point. Twin sixes! That's what I like on deck.
Twin
Additional terror point,
sixes.
everyone. Don't forget. All right, twin sixes, Tom. These two hands press into your body. I'm going to add already that the shoulder is healing. That metal is fusing in whatever damage is done. But you now get to add a truth as the pair of flaming hands touch you. And R'hllor is invited from his castle of light, wherever he lives, and into you. I don't know where he
Okay. I mean, how creative can I be with this? Okay,
You
so
can decide
as
anything you want.
her hands press against his chest, his kind of like bare chest, they sear and burn, and you can smell the smouldering of flesh as the fingertips just kind of gently press in and even actually start going a bit closer into his chest. And as she presses in, he yells out a guttural scream of absolute agony. And as he screams, a beacon at the top of the tower just bursts into flame, a beacon that just illuminates the entire city. And not just the city, those ships that were slowly going to be scuttled, they start to just catch a light in the bay as comes along. And each of those, so there's like just tons of like merchant ships just on fire in the bay, some of them scuttled on flames, and the water doesn't seem to be actually dousing any of the flames. It's just pure, it's kind of like a firestorm within the bay. And as she puts away and she takes her hands away, and you can see two scorched handprints on his chest, blackened and just vile. The smell of burning flesh just kind of just emanates from everywhere. The poor bastards that were on the ships that were doing just burnt to a crisp instantaneously. And he's in absolute agony, but he smiles as if he's reveling in this pain, that he's enjoying it. And as she takes off, he takes her head and just gives a little kiss on the forehead and just smiles and just marvels in the flames before him.
I love it. Tom, I'm going to ask you to pass the spotlight in this moment.
Okay.
Even though you succeeded, we're going to pass it around.
You know what? We haven't
Can't go to the mirror
heard.
again. It needs to go to someone else.
No, I understand. Yeah, you know what? We haven't heard what Bittersteel's doing, so I'm interested in seeing what he's up to on the walls.
Right. The general stands atop the walls, lines of archers, 3 deep, ready to send cascading arrows out into the sea. Tar and pitch stink and fill the air. His hand is placed upon the shoulder of one boy to his right and one to his left. And he says, "Watch." And arrows are loosed, row upon row, filling the sky dense. And he says, "Look." And he points towards that flaming dragon head as another spilling liquid is filled into it, and it pours out like lava from its mouth and out into the sea, floating briefly upon the foam of the waves. And he smiles, and he draws his sword, and the flames catch it, and light reflects out. Blackfire's son, and the generals all watch. And Bittersteel laughs. The siege is almost over, and he's barely had to do anything. But we're going to cut to the busy deck of the Lady's Favor. Giannis and Amira have been engaged in a vicious, tricksy battle on a flaming deck, which is slick with water from the ocean. The battles of Westeros have many secrets, some of them big, some of them small, some of them terrible. Giannis, what is one truth about this scene?
As the wildfire explodes and begins to rip through the bay and engulf ships, a section of that fire traveling on top of the water is moving directly towards the Lady's Favor, towards Giannis, towards Amira, and their 2 battling crews. And after landing his flying kick, he's fallen back to the deck, and the little now wet strand of hair that belongs to Danella, his daughter, washes away from the net on his shoulder, and a wave comes up over the edge of the ship and splashes outwards, and for a second he's looking at it, and then it's washed away and he doesn't see it again. In that moment, he doesn't know what to do. He's just there laying on the deck of the ship.
And the truth I'll add to this is, in that moment, there is a crack across the deck that you stand on, Amira, a groan from the hull of the ship. Soon the waves will consume it entirely. The fire has done its damage. But at your feet, Giannis, Dorsey, what do you do?
Oh.
Don,
Oh.
as Shauna makes this decision, what is your current terror level?
I'm currently at a terror level of 7.
Good to know.
Oh God! I think Mira just walks towards the prone figure, and she'll just smile at him. Lightning, fire behind her, water. One of her half her face is obscured by the wet hair. It's over, little lord. And she'll grab his throat. and lift him.
Giannis,
As
you're
he's
lifted by your
lifted up,
throat.
yeah, as he's lifted up into the air, he's kind of choking out. For a second, he has his voice, and then he chokes again. And it's a strange thing that he whispers into the rain, into your face. But I think Amira would hear it, and he just says, "Never wander so far that I cannot find you."
Maybe in death. And she will start closing her vice grip around his throat as the ship starts sinking.
Giannis, make me a desperate grit roll.
Oh, goodness. I have one die for this left. Oop. And I need a 6.
Oh! Nice.
What happens, Don?
The truth that I'll introduce is that there's an explosion from the next closest ship as it's taken by wildfire, and it sends shards of green flaming wood shooting across the air. It lands on the deck of Giannis's ship, and it continues to spread, and a piece of that wildfire, not the wildfire, but a piece of the wood that's blown out of the other ship, strikes Amira in the back of the head, and it causes her grip to slip for a moment, and Giannis lands face down onto the deck of the ship, and then fights. And he begins crawling towards his rapier, which is just a couple of feet away, trying to reach the hilt so he can grab it in time and turn around before this figure's on him again.
And the truth that I'll add is, as you crawl towards your rapier, there is a wash of seawater and a mirror. You are swept off your feet in that moment and into the swirling brine. But we lose sight of the deck of the Lady's Favor. And Don, I'd like you to pass the spotlight, please.
Absolutely. Yeah, I imagine like he reaches, he's almost got that hilt, and then the water comes over, and then the cut to Donegal.
And Donegal sees this wave. He sees the Dorsey sails, and shortly before their voyage, he had received a short letter from Allegra that was basically, to sum it up, you look after my husband or you're in big trouble. Now, he very much doesn't care much for Allegra. You know, she's an abrasive woman, but if she's half as tenacious as her mother was, he knows she's dangerous. So he's slightly inclined to listen to her. And he will bring his ship about, and he sees Amira's ships sort of surrounding the Dorsey vessels. And he's gonna order a full barrage from the Scorpions, from the Archers, from dudes holding whatever they've got in their hands. Just get it on their ships. Get those ships sunk.
Right. Swirling tempest. Arrows raining down from the sky. Give me that desperate roll for your command as you desperately try and save Giannis, Dorsey, and destroy the enemies.
All right. This is too. Oh, hang on. Sorry.
All right. So you increase. Sorry, we're doing desperate. So that's a success.
Oh, do desperate. Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Desperate. You get to set the truth.
Okay, so the truth is, one such volley hits Amira's vessel, the one that is currently tangled with the Lady's Favor. And it sort of smashes through the prow, like through the front, through the fore of the vessel, and is just enough to dislodge Amira's ship from the Lady's Favor. It doesn't hit the Lady's Favor, it hits Amira's vessel, which I can't remember the name of. but it is just enough to... The vengeance?
Revenge.
Is enough.
Reckless,
It's enough
yeah.
of a hit, and the damage is enough to like dislodge them, so they're no longer tangled together. The ships are free floating from one another now, and there's a lot of arrows sticking out of it.
Yes, a lot of arrows.
A
So
lot.
as the Lady's Favor is freed from the Reckless, there is nothing holding it above the waves anymore, and the ship is going to sink down. Any surviving sailors are scrabbling to get on board your ship, another ship. They're calling for help, and the tide is swirling. And we're going to cut to Don for a moment. Don't forget to mark that you have an additional motivation, Donegal, from your spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
Because Don unfortunately has to go a little bit early today. So we're ending this with a round of truths, but Don's going to get his slightly before everyone else's. Don, I need one final truth from you today that will result in a final desperate roll for Giannis.
The truth is as the ships are dislodged, and Amira and Giannis are parted, and the Lady's Favor is going down, and Giannis's rapier is washed out to sea. He's clawing up to get to the top end of the ship as the rest of it is bending and breaking and sinking, so that he can attempt to make a jump and hopefully get onto the deck of this other ship. And as the storm rages with another flash of lightning as he climbs onto the top of his ship and stands awkwardly on it, trying to get his balance, and he looks across to Donegal's ship, he sees a dark figure on the deck of the ship. And he knows that it's the stranger in his heart.
The stranger turns to Giannis and asks, how many? And I'd like you to make your desperate roll. I'm going to say quickness or grit because you're making your leap of faith. But you know the stranger is here.
He answers, not me. And then he starts trying to get as much speed as he can on the little part of this edge of the ship, so that he can get the best leap that he can across the waves. And I need a 6, and I have 2 dice for this.
Roll 20 says not today, sir. All right, so this is what happens. There is a flash of light, and we will discover Giannis's fate later in the session. I'm going to let Don do his plug and say goodbye. Don, you can message me your final truth, and I'll make sure that's revealed later.
Yeah, I have ideas. Thank you very much, everybody. I can't wait to watch the rest of the session. I'm sorry I have to run. Not going to take anybody's time. You know where to find me if you want me. You are all amazing. This is amazing. And I will see you all again real soon.
See you soon, Don. Thank you so much. All right. I am going to pass the spotlight now back to Donegal, as we interrupted a tiny bit with dear Giannis's fate. You see the Lady's Favor sink below the surface. You see Giannis struggle for a moment, but a wave comes in and blocks your view. It is turmoil and fire here. And you can see one of Prince Velar's ships has come around and is going for the other side of the island, as the harbor is now a blaze of wreckage. And following it, the other 2 ships kind of in tow. But there is one ship up in lead and it's going for the other side of the island. What do you do, Donegal?
Donegal, well, you see, Donegal is here for glory, so he is going to follow the good prince and put on a good show. So he abandons the men here. He abandons the ships that are sinking, the sailors that are clawing for his boat, and orders that they move forward to join the prince.
Right. and you push out and you weave from the wreckage. It's not easy. And I'm going to ask you to make just a regular handle it, smarts or cool, to be able to spot a path and navigate your ship out of this mess, calling whatever remaining you have with you.
Okay, let's use a cool, because, I mean, there's still a battle going on around him, so he's got to kind of get his shit together, and seeing all these sailors, like, drowning around him is hitting the old panic button. Success.
That is a success. Very nice. All right. You weave your way out, and you push after Prince Valar and the other 2 Targaryan vessels. I'm going to say with your success that 2 more Donegal bywater ships are pushing out with you. So there is now 6 ships moving for the other side of the island and coming around. Valar does have a good lead on you. Marshal Velaryon, you have exploded your ship and along with it many others, and you've seen a flame hopping from shore across the merchant vessels pushing out of the harbor. This entire place is essentially a dead shipyard now. Nothing will sail from here for a long time. And your ship is in grave condition as the front end has exploded and you are meeting now with wreckage, fire, and vicious wave. What is Marshal Velaryon doing?
I want to push for the 2 vessels we sent out at the beginning, which were going to hit the Snailers' little bay, basically, where the merchants of Tyrosh get their weird, fancy snails and do whatever it is they do with them. And so that was the weakest point that he knew and his uncle knew would be in the dockyard. So that's what they're aiming for. They're aiming to basically try and explode the defenses around there, the infrastructure, the walls, the towers, whatever they've got, so that actually Prince Valar and Donegal's ships as well can actually breach a landing. If they can't leave this bay, which is what I'm kind of getting from the wreckage, then fuck it, they're going to fight for the rest of their lives to see Blackfire and the bastard king Daemon II, or Daemon the Second.
Daemon the Second.
It's important. Yeah, they're going to see them dead, hopefully, even if it costs them their lives and the hundreds of sailors that have come here with them. Wave after wave of my own men.
Soldiers the second they hit land. Let us not forget this.
Yeah.
So. I'm going to say your plan was already successful in that you were getting these ships in, but I would like you to roll for them because they have a hail of arrows coming down on them from bitter steel on the battlements, and they've still got to kind of brave it through and not lose heart on the way in, or worse, be destroyed before they get there. So this is going to be I'm going to say this is going to be a desperate, but you can choose your best from grit, cool, or smarts.
Cool, please.
All right.
Can I add my test dice from the thing?
Yes, you can. Yep, I will put that in now. Yep, so that becomes an additional d6. It's whatever you've got.
Right, so I was on... So essentially we were down 2 dice, weren't we, before?
Yes.
So my stat of 4 would become a 3, is back up to a 4 now. Awesome.
For desperate, you don't add to your pool. So it would be, if you were on a 4 to start with, and you're down 2 dice, you're down to 2, and then you add 1, you're up to 3.
Oh.
For a desperate roll.
Do you want me to re-roll again? There.
No, we'll take it. I'm just clarifying for rule's sake. For the desperate, you're not adding to your pool an additional 1 dice. Is all. But
sure.
No, you succeed. All right, so describe for me, Sam. You get to set the truth.
Well,
What
so they
sixes
plunge.
today?
Yeah, right. So they plunge the prows into the bay, and thankfully, and people can just see if they look far and well enough in the smoke and the fire and the darkness of the night sky. Just two little rowboats that are coming off the back of the two Drummonds, as they were basically just been guided in. And what seems to be this like wildfire-esque mushroom cloud, it's just this green plume of explosion and smoke goes up in the sky on the bay, and Prince Valar looks to starboard suddenly, knowing he has to change course. Was he around planning when you guys were planning this
No,
thing?
Prince Valar was never meant to be part of this siege. He turned up last minute.
So I want the real truth to be like,
coming.
yeah, I want the real truth to be like, he's like, oh, that's the plan. Okay, off we go. Like he's gonna turn and head that way.
Right, I like that. So Prince Valar changes directions, and what I'm actually going to do is now cut to about 20 minutes later when the landing parties hit the shore. Fire, smoke, green and red, burn and twist with black. And there has been a breach of the defenses. The wildfire has set the docks alight, but the explosion actually took out a small section of that dragonstone wall, blowing apart the staircase that led up for the merchants. And in through it pours soldier sailors, pushing off of vessels, ones that have managed to make it through the wreckage and into the gap. And we cut to the streets of Tyrosh. Castile. Men have poured in, and you see men pouring down off the wall now at Bittersteel's order to meet the invaders. But you lay here on the dock with chaos around you, your laughter still ringing in your head. You don't know if it's been seconds, minutes, or ages of the seven. But you are suddenly present again, with war in your ears.
After he's come down from what to him would be like a high, something that's just euphoric for him, reality will kind of crash down upon him again. His chest will hurt even more than what he can remember. And he'll see the docks ablaze and realize that no ship's coming through here. So he will, on his horse, he will turn and he will, with his entourage, he will talk and tell them, it is time to arouse the city. Go. And he's going to order them. So before this happened, I don't know if I can do this, but before this happened, he had been spreading rumors throughout the entire city that these Westerosi knights were there to take everything that they own, absolutely everything. They were going to butcher everyone and big. So he wants to use the city against these invaders. So even like civilians will start fighting for their life because they think that these invaders are going to take everything. And he wants to rouse up like a crowd, like a mob, basically, to send them off to the fighting.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to roll a regular empathy.
Regular empathy. What am I at?
So you're
Okay.
minus 2 dice because of the time.
Okay. Okay, so that's all right. So, oh dear. You know what? Let's. Should I? Yeah, go on then. Why not? Is this the last roll? Oh,
No.
Oh, okay. You know what? We'll just give it a go and see what happens. Nope.
Okay.
You know what? Could I? I'm going to re-roll that with my trait. Thinks 3 steps ahead.
You can only re-roll using a trait once per session, as per our current rules.
I haven't re-rolled.
If you want. Oh,
I didn't
oh no, that's
re-roll
right. You changed your mind.
previously.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, then you can use your trait. Yes. Sorry, I forgot that you hadn't actually gone through with it.
Let's see if it'll actually work. His trait thinks 3 steps ahead, so he planned this. He planned to use the city to do this. So,
And you have 1 extra test dice on your screen, according to me. if you want to throw that in.
Yeah, you know what? Why not? Why not?
Right.
Yeah, go on. Why not? It's there to be used. There you go. Worked that time.
Good. All right. And you send out the runners. Your plan is in action. And you see as the cry of basically invaders rings out, the alarm bells sound, men move. Shuttered windows are being thrown open. And you see various weapons that have been assembled by the locals. These are haphazard at best, but the brothels can be really inventive with the supplies they have. And it makes the streets much more treacherous for the influx of forces. Oil, rope, creative uses of other items. It's all loaded up and waiting. And the thing that catches your attention, Castile, as you turn to push back into the city, is there are a number of trip lines that have been set up, either at throat height or at ankle height, to trip and waylay people pushing through. Washing lines have been repurposed because people in this city are not about to lose. And before you, a fisherman's wife skitters out of view, and you see a fine gauze net has been set up, and glinting in the light, tiny fish hooks. If anyone ran into this, they are in for a nasty time. And so that is where we find the state of the city. And where are you pushing back to? I'm assuming you're not going to stay on the docks and watch the skirmish.
No, he's probably going to push back to... He's going to push back to the tower. He's not going in the fighting. He oversees the fighting. So he'll probably push back to the tower. It's safer there.
Okay, push back to the tower. And this tower, I think, is known as the Tower of Tears. I can't remember. It's something like that. It's something like that. It's terrible. It's awful. And it is ominous. And you climb for the best view in the house as the storm rages on. Prince Valar has landed, and Donegal, you are not far behind in support. Velaryon has made the way clear. It's smoky and hazardous, and as you turn, you're fighting shadow knights who clink as you strike them, and it turns out they're real. Donegal, what is your weapon of choice?
Donegal uses a boarding pick, which is kind of like a mining pick, but nastier.
I love it.
But
and as you
specifically for boarding ships.
As you turn to strike out, you come face to face with Captain Marshal Velaryon, who has had no choice but to step onto the shores of Tyrosh as his ship was destroyed. Marshal, what do you wield as you stand on the shore?
He doesn't, I don't think. Because of his frailty, he stands back. He's got a long sword at his side, but he's surrounded by household guard. Those are the weapons he wields. And so he uses his own sailors, his own soldiers, to try and manage the streets, I think.
So Donegal, you turn with this pick to strike at this force, and it's a man stood stock still, and in the background, Marshal Velaryon surrounded by his retinue. I am going to cut us to by the skin of our teeth. This is the opportunity for each of you to introduce a final truth. You will all then make a final desperation roll, and we will then bring it all together to establish the final truth for the siege of Tyrosh. But I would like to start with Amira. Amira, I would like to give you the truth that you have, by some strange coincidence, made it back towards the shore, part swimming, part leaping, assisted by ships and wreckage. Conveniently, it seems occasionally the fire moves away from you as you step onto vessels. So Shauna, As the siege of Tyrosh rages on, battles of Westeros have many secrets, some of them big, some of them small, some of them terrifying. What is the truth, you will add?
Ooh. That Amira does not join the rest of the melee. How she got to this point was that for her immense strength, she managed to drive a dagger into one of the hulls of the passing ships and follow it. So while there's battle, while there's focus on the shores, she's gonna pick a ship. And wait with her broadsword ready in the captain's cabin.
Ooh, alright. So this is going to take a desperate grit, I will say, for you to make it to this ship.
Mm-hmm. Alright. Let's make we're down 2, right?
Yes, down 2.
God, this is...
Because I'm pushing desperate rolls, I'm not going to push you a further clock drop.
Okay. That's grit, minus 2, 3, 4. Alright, it's 4. We need 6s, right?
Yes, 6s.
Ooh. 6.
Okay, a 6. Perfect. We will come back to Amira in a moment then. I've made a note. Alright. Would anyone like to volunteer to go next with their truth? Does anyone have a burning desire to go next? No? Alright. Susie, you're up next.
Okay.
Battles of Westeros have many truths. Some of them big, some of them small, some of them terrifying. What is your truth?
So the truth is, in the midst of this melee, this battle that's happening on the shore, and Donegal bumps into Marshal Velaryon amongst his men, he tells him to flee, to get to his ships, but to tell everyone and to tell his sons what they did here today. And Donegal turns and he makes for the walls, because he is determined to end this war himself. And he calls back, remember the name Donegal Bywater! And he runs off to go try and kill Bittersteel himself.
Alright. I'm going to say this is also a desperate grit roll, as you physically will need to force your way up this wall through a retinue of defenses. And in the darkness, find Bittersteel.
That was so close to being a Lord of the Rings quote, Charlie. I'm going to use my little blue friend up here.
All right, use your little blue friend. That will give you an additional
Okay.
dice.
All right. No.
All right. We will come back to you.
Oh, hang on. I haven't
used your
used any of
motivation
my...
roll?
I've used my motivation roll, or a virtue, or whatever, but I'll use my motivation. Okay.
I think, because were you given the spotlight at any point?
Yes.
All right, so you will have one motivation from that, and you also have your motivation from a flaw or trait, because you didn't use that either. So you technically would have 2 rerolls.
All right, let's see if you can do it.
If we're going to be really jammy. Nope.
All right, let's try again. Yes.
All right.
Go,
There it is.
Donegal.
Go, Donegal. All right, we will come back to you in a moment. Marshal Velaryon. Nephew of Lord Velaryon. Lord of the Tides. Prince of the Sea Foam.
Sergeant of the Waves.
Oh.
King of the Crabs. He Marshall turns to his master arms and orders him and a cadre of soldiers, sailors, to get back one of the Drummonds and break the blockade of Rex so that they could get back to Westeros. And it's argued by the Sergeant at Arms, Master of Arms, that Marshal should go back himself. But I'm going to bring up his virtue, self-sacrificing. Sorry, Susie. And he is actually going to draw his longsword and tentatively take steps towards the line, as he is then immediately flanked by several of his soldiers.
The race for bitter steel is on. All right, make your rolls.
Oh, bitter steel. Oh, whatever. Just actually, he's trying to be like, right now, what's happening? And he's actually trying to fucking command this battle.
All
like
right,
this
cool.
is what he's about. He's smart. He's tactical. He's actually trying to do this. Whereas Donegal's just fucked off on some glory hunt. Like, what's this?
All right, I love it.
No.
All right.
Anyway.
Desperate roll.
What am I doing?
Desperate roll with cool.
With cool. So
Yeah.
my cool is 4. How many dice am I rolling?
You are rolling 2 dice.
If I suck, can I re-roll from my virtue?
Yes, because you declared you. Yes.
Nope.
You got it on the first one.
Oh, it was a 6. It wasn't. I was looking for pairs all the time.
Six
Yeah,
on levels.
okay.
All right. A success. Noted.
Nice.
Last but not least, Castile Radar. Your city is fighting back. We know this to be true. But the battles of Tyrosh have many secrets. Some of them big, some of them small, some of them terrifying. What is your truth?
He's entered the tower, which is towering over the entire city, and he is staring out at the bay that is completely consumed in fire. And the priestess is very close next to him. And he just focuses on the flames. And he talks to her as he is just transfixed in flames. I felt valor inside of me, in my very being. And he turns. He is with us tonight.
Yes, my prince. He has chosen you.
And as he's looking out, with a mixture of just magical fire, normal fire, and wildfire, the docks that he was there to protect actually start catching on fire, and the fire starts slowly creeping into the city. And he stares at that, and he smiles, and he just kind of mumbles, "A worthy sacrifice to the gods."
Desperate empathy, please, Tom.
Okay.
Empathy because it's to do with supernatural awareness.
So I'm down 2. Okay. Do 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 do. Here we go. No.
Oh.
Oh, so the city
And-
doesn't catch fire? Oh.
Well, no, it means I get to set the truth. So,
Oh, okay. Okay.
let us begin our tale for the evening of the end of the battle, or the siege of Tyrosh. Down at the docks, green flame of wildfire reflects in the swell of the ocean. It mingles with the warm orange of the flame of torches and the bright white lava that cascades from the mouth of the dragon. And in an upwards plume, all of it intensifies, bright light and sparks. and it moves into the city. It creeps over the walls and along the cobbled streets. It burns away the nets and the trip lines, and it chases the attacking soldiers. Demonic fire to consume. And in their horror, they trip and they fall, and they are eaten away. And Castile, you are born of fire. You were touched, but now you are to become one with it. You walk behind that chasing army of light and into that intermingle of red, orange, and green. You are a man on fire. And you disappear into the smoke of Tyrosh. We pan from the smoke to the darkness under the desk of a captain's quarters. A ship that had waited, that not made it quite into the battle. And into the quarters, a mirror, comes a large man. He's angry. He had been left out. He had missed his chance. His hand comes slamming down onto the desk, and you hear it crack above you. But your broadsword is ready, and you rise up. You have been waiting, and he doesn't see you. Shauna, where's your truth? As you succeed on your desperate role, you've made it to the ship, and you have waited.
Oh, yes, thank you. Well, the truth is that this was a large man. Was quite a tough fight. Got banged around more than she was expecting. She was expecting someone that was one of the lesser sailors, but she eventually stuck him through the neck. And as she sits over the body, she thinks of something that will get her closer. She begins to take off her armor, throws it overboard, puts on the man's armor, and then disposes of it the same way. And just awaits. It's your poem.
And you sail with the Baratheon contingent back towards Storm's End. As you stare up towards the cliffs, you are on deck, and the storm has eased, and you hear something in your ear. I'm sorry, my lord, Beric. Jocelyn said I had to. And you feel a sharp dagger push into your spine and twist. And Amira, you are brought down to your knees. But that is a fight another day. We cut back to the fight that we had left. Marshal, you attempt to take the city sensibly. You push through, you choose your fights, and your men fight well. What is your truth, Sam?
That they make it to the foot of the surely there's a palace or a tower, isn't there, where the conclave would sit?
Yeah, there's a building for the High Archon. Or Anchor,
yes. Yeah. I want to say that that's where they reach before they just don't have enough men. Well, they don't have enough soldiers. And so Marshall does his uncle proud, but unfortunately isn't alive to speak of it himself after this battle.
You break into the hall. You give your orders for who is to be captured and who is to be killed. But there is the thunderous approach of feet out in the street as one of Bittersteel's armies pushes into Tyrosh. They were late. You've been pushed into the city for 5-6 hours now, and this reinforcement must have arrived from the mainland from somewhere else. But they push in and they are fresh and bright soldiers, and the last thing Marshall sees is a rank and file of glittering gold armor. Susie. Donegal pushes his way up. There are ladders, there's pitch and tar being thrown. Fire seems to cascade and chase you through this dark and strange city of Tyrosh. Out of windows, painted glass gods leer at you. But you know he is atop the walls because that is where you would be. The general, the leader, the king of Tyrosh. Bittersteel will never be king. That is what is in your heart, whether it's by proxy or by his own gauntlet. And you will be the one who stopped him. What is your truth, Susie?
The truth is that Donegal almost makes it. He can see Bittersteel just ahead of him. And he has fought and clawed his way across these walls to get to him and dodging and evading where he can. As Donegal's quite an able fighter, as a strong man. But as he calls out his challenge to Bittersteel, one of Bittersteel's men steps forward, and as Donegal is preoccupied looking at him, he doesn't see the blow that comes, and it smashes his right arm and smashes his war pick flying from. He loses a finger as he's cleaved, but he in desperation pulls his knife and still lunges for this man with his left, trying to get to Bittersteel. But this guard, this knight, is just laying into Donegal, and he's taking wound after wound. But after a particular nasty sort of left hook from the pommel of this blade, Donegal is sent flying from the walls into the sea below.
The truth I will add is that Bittersteel issues an order for the body to be brought back. And so Donegal is dragged into the home of Blackfire. His Tyroshi mother watches as the body is propped up on a low bench, Donegal's head laid out. And Bittersteel gives the order for King Daemon to take his justice. And Daemon, a young boy with a Velaryon steel sword, swings down and into the wood. It takes 7 chops to remove Donegal Bywater's head from his shoulders. It is not that this blade is not sharp, but that the boy who wields it is not strong enough. Bittersteel makes everyone watch, because soon the boy will be strong enough. And soon all of Westeros will feel the cleave of Blackfire. But the city has much to repair and much to do. And the battles of Westeros have many secrets, some of them big, some of them small, and some of them terrible. And the final secret that we will see is that Tyrosh has a flame that will not be extinguished. And the Flame of Castile moves towards the young boy's bedroom, and it flares bright. Castile's vision is white hot. It's hard to tell the difference between forms. But he lays his blessing on the protector of Tyrosh. And one of the boys in Bittersteel's care gains the flame of R'hllor. And that is where we will leave Tyrosh for today. And next week, chat, we will give our team the good news that your Bane has blessed Nuno with the lack of a nemesis, as Beric Baratheon is slain. So your boons matter. They make a difference. We appreciate those retweets so much. I'm sorry I forgot to mention them. I have been watching chat. Thank you so much as well for the gift subs and the donations that have come in. Thank you for staying tuned for this ride as I bastardized Terror RPG to push our story. But I had a lot of fun sharing this adventure of truth, secrets, and violence with all of my castmates. Shout out to Don, who joined us earlier. I'm actually not going to declare Giannis's final truth. It will come up in a post-credit scene if we get our outros done quick enough. If not, it will be next time we see Allegra. So, Shauna.
Yes.
I would like to know what you thought of Terror RPG, if you enjoyed the siege, and where we can find you on the internet.
Oh, I loved it. It was cinematic. It was super tense. It's like, ooh, last stuff was really great. I loved it. But yeah, you can find me, John Flying Cirrus on Twitter, all the games I play and the art that I do. And next time you'll see me is on Saturday or Thursday. Yes, I think maybe Thursday for Star Trek, sort of Kalis. More piratey things, because that's effectively what a ship of Klingons are. And we killed a bunch of giant tribbles, so our mortal enemies have been slain. So episode 2, are we up there? And on Saturday on Wandering DM, it's more pirate stuff. It's Black Flag, powered by the Apocalypse game, where I am playing the ship's witch, and I might have to sacrifice my crew to release my demon lover. So, hey,
Things you gotta do, to be honest. Yes, Sword of Kalis episode 2 should be up online tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to catch it before then, the VOD is already available over on Twitch. So be sure to check that out, and we'll be live. Hopefully, I need to check my DMs in a second. I see a message from Raven, 6 to 9 on Thursdays. Tom, thank you so much for guesting last minute and being presented with a character, for becoming the Flame of R'hllor.
Yeah, I fear I might have screwed. I fear I might have screwed the After the Fire thing just a slight bit by giving the opposite side something beneficial. So, oops for that. But I like the system. I thought it was really interesting. It's how it ramps up as it continues, and it's a simple system, so it just means more role playing, and I like more role playing. You can find me on Twitter, HotFlakesTom. I'm live tomorrow on Encounter Roleplay, 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Eastern, for Secrets of Pendragon. We'll be back with that, and then After the Fire, the sister campaign to this, on Thursday at 8 p.m. GMT and 3 p.m. Eastern. That's me done.
I like that people are racing so that Susie can have her scene. Sam, After the Fire GM.
What are we racing
taught
for?
Me to let Susie have her after credits scene today.
Is that why?
Because we are on a tight deadline.
It's good.
But,
just going to talk for a while. No.
Right.
Yeah, no, I want to say well done and thank you so much. That was my first try of the Terror system, and it was really good fun. Don, I think, has done an amazing job, and I think you did great. Like, not patronizingly, it's not easy to jump to a new game, like a new rule set, and this uses D6s as well, and it's all kind of similar. So I had a really good time tonight. That was really good fun. And it's good to, like, step in a new character now and again and just kind of be able to, like one shots to, like, you have to take your characters and, like, they have to, basically have to, like, jack a car and that's it. Like, that's the attitude you have to have in it, the kind of, one shot character. And so hopefully I had that. That's what I aimed for. Lots of wildfire.
Yeah, I love that. Yes, thank you so much for bringing wildfire. It's super fun because we do kind of co-GM this world, so it's nice to let you come in GM, and we both get to kind of affect and impact each other's game. We now know how the Siege of Tyrosh went, which is super exciting. And with the terror system, I did slightly have to mangle it so that we could get the ramping up. It's so much better when you play it straight through. but I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I did try and rewrite Warfare, but I really wanted this to be cinematic and for everyone to really just make it cool, because in
absolutely.
this case, more cooks make more wildfire.
Yeah, right. That's just it. That was super cool. I'm so tempted. I was this close because you were talking about what truths do we learn about in dropping some little hints for After the Fire, but I didn't, because this is a little bit early for what we're doing now. So I want it to be some surprises still in our campaign, which you can catch on a Thursday at Follow Black Cats on the Twitch every Thursday, 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern. But that's not just my plug. I am Sam Webb. I am the head of product at Modifius Entertainment, but I also have an indie RPG publishing arm with some fine folks, James and Susie above me. And we are Black Cats Gaming, and we are launching the Spy Game, which is a 5e tactical espionage and intrigue and like action-based RPG, all based on 5th edition. That got kickstarted last year, and we're wrapping up some of the development on that just now. So watch this space for some news on that coming out and being fulfilled in the coming months. And then we'll be looking on making some more stuff too. But yeah, you can follow us. You follow me around the internet, RPG Webby, and you can follow Black Cats around the internet by Follow Black Cats on Twitch and the Twitters. That's me.
Susanna Grace.
I can't believe Donegal got Margaret pulled. Like, that sucks. That's awful. Like, 7 shots to get him.
Well.
Oh my god. Oh. So for those not in the know, a little history lesson. Margaret Pole was a lady who was executed by Henry VIII. It took 10 strikes to kill her, and she was an old lady crawling around the scaffold as the executioner was just going at it. Probably one of the most brutal executions in British history. Anyway, so yeah, what the fuck happened to my husband, Charlie? I'll do that. I'm Susie, streamer. I do video games and stuff and art streams, and I'm on After the Fire, and I'm on Pendragon tomorrow, and I do shooting games with Virginia on Fridays on my stream at Susanna Grace up there, so go follow me, thanks. What happened to my husband, Charlie?
The question first to be asked, Susie.
Mm-hmm.
Battles of the Heart have many secrets, some of them big, some of them small, some of them terrifying. Allegra watches her husband set sail for Tyrosh, along with the fleet. She's in Storm's End as the thunder rattles around. The walls feel all too close. Danella is unsettled as she paces, reading letters. And the morning light comes up. What does Allegra do?
Allegra holds Danella tight and whispers to her that they will be quietly making their exit from Storm's End whilst everyone is preoccupied on the ships leaving. And she heads down to the stables expecting to see Bastian Will. But he's not there. And she paces nervously, and she's clearly extremely anxious before she takes a deep breath and steals 2 horses, one for her and one for Danella, and they make their way out of Storm's End. As they leave, Allegra says quietly, "I hope you stole something, Danella, because we're going to need some money."
Danella turns to you, questioning, is this a trick? But she is frightened as she gazes over her shoulder. She heard things last night. She met people. And she reaches down as you clear away from the mountain, and she turns out one pocket onto the skirt of her dress as she sits side saddle on her horse because she's a lady, damn it. And spilling out a number of rings, necklaces, small coins. But she reaches to her side, and there's a larger pouch, which she'd somehow kept hidden from you under her cloak. And as she turns this out, a human skull with a black gemstone in its temple tumbles out.
Why is she like this?
And she smiles. It was what everyone was interested in, and she didn't understand why. Until she looked at it properly. And she turns it over. And she pulls out a small golden message scroll. Somehow the Baratheons, in their studying of the skull of the Silks, did not find this scroll. But she's already opened it, and she's already read it, and she holds this out to you.
I'm reading that sucker.
All right. You open it up, and inside it says, "The Mother of Beasts and Ashes will walk Westeros and leave destruction in her trail. You need to pick a side, Baratheon. All my love, Della."
Oh, what?
So you have this note.
Mm-hmm.
But which direction does Allegra ride? North or south?
Hang on. I'm just gonna... North.
You set... I was going to say set sail. You set trail for home. We cut to the fleet returning to Storm's End. Battered, half the ships not there that had let out. But enough of them. They bring a captured general, or so they claim. But sad news for the Lord of Storm's End. His son perished in the battle. Sad news for others as well. More lords, more sons, dead, consumed by wildfire, consumed by demon flame and dragon fire. The stories have grown, the rumors more and more terrible. The more they talk, the more they share. But Prince Valar declares it victory. And that next time they return to Tyrosh, he shall claim that part of Essos as an 8th kingdom. The speech is applauded quietly by many. Many here have lost. We see a bedraggled sailor leaning against the wall, a tatter of net arranged just so. Giannis walks the corridors of Storm's End and calls out for his wife. He's feverish and battled, and he's followed by a dark shadow. And as he lays on the bed, treated by the Maester of Storm's End, he whispers, "How many, Allegra? How many?" And that is the end of today's game. And thank you all for watching. I'm glad I could do horrible things to make you stay to the end. If you're on YouTube, give me those hashtags of Battle for Tyrosh. Tell me whose side you're on. Tell me, what is your truth? And chat, if you're watching live, go to our Discord. There is a Crownlands channel, and I would like you to use the spoilers, little linies, I don't know what they're officially called, to tell me one truth that you would add to this world if you could. And I will be choosing one of these truths to add to the world. So chat, that is it. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to be running this for the whole week. So come on over to our Discord. You can check out link down below, and you can add your truth into that Discord channel. And I will be choosing one of these truths, because after the fire, the Crownlands, the Wall, I love these shows dearly. I love the Fireverse, and I love all of you for supporting us and letting us play these games. So there you go. No extra polls, no extra anything, but you can add a truth. Remember, secrets are big, small, and terrifying. Thank you to the cast and crew. Thank you to our guests, past, present, and future. We will be back next week, Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for some more of this beautiful Game of Thrones, we will be returning to A Song of Ice and Fire RPG by Green Ronin / Sam, because that's how we roll. If you want the cheat sheet, I've reposted it over on our Patreon along with a massive graphic drop, and I will be posting the individual character arts, which you can use in your private games if you would like to. I am going to let the wonderful Noir Enigma play us out. Please come back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern when we are playing Secrets of Pendragon. So long, farewell, and when you make a truth, make it a good one. Take care, everyone.
Adeline, what have you done? Murdered a god, now they want someone. Allegra points the finger, but the case is done now. Revenge is a dish that's best served cold. Gone away that feast outside your hold. You hope they buy that lie you told. Crown lands, the fire's meant for our head. Keep close the secrets or you'll end up dead. Here in the land with the wedding's red. Crown lands, the fire's meant for our head. Keep close your secrets or you'll end up dead. Here in the lands with the wedding's red. Now